Now Joe Biden has just put out a commercial trying to turn the tables on you on the question of football. Let's watch it.
Good weather by opening day standard. We're going to be in the 60s. Enjoy the game. And now, to honor America, please join in the singing of our national anthem.
Why is football so important, especially for the Big Ten? All these moms, players want them to play, and then they're not able to play. Are they safer playing than not?
It shows you the lie of the Democrats. I'm the one that says play football. I said they're young, strong people. They're not going to have a problem with COVID or the China virus or whatever you want to call it. I'm the one, and they didn't like my narrative, so they just made up a narrative. Because if you look, Michigan is closed. All of these states that are closed, North Carolina is closed. These states that are closed are run by Democrats. And the reason they're closed is because we have an election on November 3rd. And they don't want the opening of the states, and they don't want the income. They want to keep it nice and closed. But you take a look at what the states that are closed, it's terrible what they've done. And those people, and you know, you discuss it a lot, so do I. There's a lot of death, depression, drug addiction on the other side. When you keep it closed, I think you're losing more people than, it's terrible what you're doing to people than when you open it. So I'm the football guy. I'm the one that wants to have football. I put it out all the time. I'm very upset with Big Ten. Big Ten, they should have opened it. But I'm the one that wants the football. Everybody knows it. They saw that, and they said Trump didn't. These people just, you know,
they have
players
lie. Suing now to play, and their parents are really upset. Michigan State, Penn State, Minnesota,
well, look at
Ohio State. They could have been the national champions this year, Ohio State.
Absolutely, and there are a number of them in that category. But look at Pennsylvania. You have a Democrat governor. You have a Democrat in North Carolina. You have a Democrat in Michigan. They're all Democrats. Those are the states. And I do believe the governors are telling those colleges, we don't want it.
Yeah, that's an important point for Americans to understand. You think that the governors are putting their foot down saying, the SEC, they're going to try to play, you know, ACC is playing, but no way.
Look,
and you think it's political, Mr. President? Is this political?
The governor of Pennsylvania, the governor of Michigan, the governor of North Carolina, they control those teams directly or indirectly because they have to, you know, so much money, so much aid, so many other things, including traffic signs and everything else that they have to give. Those governors control those schools. It's all done by Democrats. But just to show you how they lie and how they cheat, and the biggest problem you have, I want football back. By the way, are you watching? I want football, okay? Joe Biden doesn't even know football. Joe Biden, look, Joe doesn't know he's alive, but let's see how it all turns out, okay? Let's see how it all turns out. It's a very sad thing. I will say this. We have tremendous potential. We closed it up. We're opening it up. We're doing record numbers. As you saw, over 9 million people employed now over the last 3 months. It's a record in the history of our country. We have a chance of having one of the best years we've ever had next year. Unless somebody comes in and wants to raise your taxes, put back on regulations. You know, I'm not sure. I gave the biggest tax decrease in the history of our country, and we're going down lower. But I'm not sure. I think that the regulation cuts that I did, which were the biggest in the history of our country, might have been even more important than the tax cuts.
You said that Joe Biden is China's candidate to win. They want him badly. But you said, well, at your RNC speech, you said, well, I know that, but I'm not going to tell you why, without compromising national security. Tell us a little bit more about that.
Well, number one, you look at his son walking away with $1.5 billion. Joe he doesn't even criticize China. I've never heard him even criticize China. He was the one that said, oh, China's wonderful, China's this, China's that, China's not the enemy, they're not the problem. I've taken billions and billions, tens of billions of dollars out of China.
Well, he's taking the tariffs off, that's for sure.
China, the tariffs are going to come off. We're taking in billions of dollars on tariffs. That would destroy us because it gives them such an unfair competitive advantage. No, we're taking in billions. They don't want me. I get along very well with President Xi, although I must tell you, since the COVID situation, I have not exactly been talking to him too much.
Could you make them pay for that?
They are paying a lot now.
But how could they pay specifically
can I be honest,
for COVID?
What they've done to us in terms of the death of people, and I'm not talking about just us, I'm talking about the world, you can never pay for that. What they've done to this country, what they've done to the world, you can never, just in terms of death. Economically, at some point, maybe you can catch up. but you're talking about a lot of good trade deals. I made an unbelievable trade deal. And frankly, they ordered more corn last week than at any time in the history of this country.
Are they taking advantage of this pandemic with what they've done to Hong Kong, what they're trying to do in the Philippines, maybe choking off some of the South China Sea?
First of
Are they
all,
taking
I
advantage of it?
think that they're hurt much worse than people think. They're having a very hard time in China. China is going very bad inside, the real numbers.
Their manufacturing, they say, is gotten back to par.
It's not. And they're doing very poorly. China's doing very poorly. And they lost tens of thousands of people. They lost more than any other country. They just don't report it. You know,
How do
we
you know
report
that?
everything. And by the way, I saw a statistic come out the other day talking about only 6% of the people actually died from COVID, which is a very interesting, that they die from
Well,
other
they had
reasons.
comorbidities, which you've gotten criticized for, because there are comorbidities, as the Italians
Yeah.
showed, for every COVID death. I think it was 70-something%
Yeah.
had 2 or 3 comorbidities. But the COVID might ultimately have been the key morbidity to hit them, but
It could
bottom
be,
line
but
is,
it's an interesting statistic.
Mr. President, you still having fun doing this
I'm
job?
having a good time because we're doing a job like just about nobody else has ever done. And I said it before, I'll say it again, and nobody even challenges me on it. This administration, despite all of the fake Russia, and hoaxes and impeachments, we've done more in this administration than any president in the history of our country. If you look at our military's rebuilt, if you look at choice for the vets, and if you look at accountability for the vets, and I protected the Second Amendment, which, by the way, if they got in, your Second Amendment is gone. Your taxes are tripled. Your Second Amendment is gone. Your religious liberty, forget it. They're keeping the churches closed on purpose. You have churches that still aren't open, but you're allowed to go to a casino. It's a terrible thing that's happening.
But because a lot of people don't know how funny you are, but you're one of the funnier people that I know, but you're also in a very serious time, so.
This is a very serious, this isn't time for games. And, you know,
Yeah.
if people say, gee, comes across as a little bit rough or a little bit direct, I don't have time not to be. I really don't have much time not to be. We have to get things done. And we're getting them done like no president has ever. Despite the obstruction, because they are obstructors, despite the tremendous obstruction, we're getting them done like nobody's ever done before, and that makes me happy.
Mr. President, it's always great to see you. Thank you so much for joining
Thank you
us
very
tonight.
much, Laura.